Hey friends, super excited to be doing this stream again. My name is Shedrack Akintayo, and this is the Solving the Quest live stream, and I'm welcoming you all to it. So today's quest is going to be quite short. It's a very simple quest, and it's called the Robocrop Quest. Hold on, let me share my screen just so everybody can see it. So let's just do Robo. So let's do Robocrop. Okay. So the quest we will be solving today is called the Robocop Quest. Is basically going to be mostly on the back end, right? Because we want to be able to generate images for our products when we don't add any image to it, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. So just gonna wait for more people to join in, then we will kick off fully. So let me just make an announcement on Discord so more people can join in. So yeah, so let's just get into it. So the quest is Robocrop. This quest is pretty exciting because it shows the possibilities that you get when incorporate AI into a product. So it shows you how to generate AI images for your product in an e-commerce setting. So let's just get into it. So the first thing is I started the quest, and next says dot slash, run the as usual, you have to run um this command. So let's run this command. So let me zoom in a bit so everyone sees what I'm typing. So dot slash start underscore quest dot sh. So it resets me, it takes me back to my local branch. Now I'm on main. So let's do this. So let's reply next with done. Let me zoom in a bit more. So next says, hey, so those pesky people, what do we call them? All right, users. Next certainly does not like users. All right, yeah, users. So some of this is adding products without the product images, which is so lame. But we figured that with this newly released DAL-E API, we will never have to see a default product image again. Go ahead and sign up for a DAL-E account and find API's key page, create an API key and paste the first 5 characters here. So let's do that. So if I click on this, I already have a DAL-E account, so I will not sign up. But if you don't have a DAL-E account, you probably would need to create an account. So I already have one. So I'm just going to log in now. And to find the API key page, we just need to go to personal, then we go to view API keys. Right? View API keys. So the next thing we need to do is I already have created an API key, so I will not necessarily need to create a new one. So But the problem here is I have forgotten my API key. So let's create another one, and I'll always, I know I can always delete it after this this stream. So I'm just going to copy this, copy this, paste it in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we just need to copy this 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we run the first, we have to send the first 5 characters. So when I send this to Ness, she says, got it, thanks. So when we send the key, Ness says we need to make sure the backend automatically generates an image for items that are created without one. Can you integrate that into our code base? You need to use OpenAPI and make sure to pass the title as the prompt. That's the item title. That's the item title should be as the prompt. Then you also need to use an API token. So make sure you don't write it in code, but and using an env environment variable open API key. I have to head out for a bit, but just check and create API when you're done, and I'll resume it. So let's do that. We already have our API key. So let's run our Docker since so let's run Docker Docker dash compose. That's to start our command, right? To start our application. So let's do that. Then let's open our code base. Okay. Let's open our code base. Our code base and see how far we get. So we have a .env here already. Just going to delete this because we no longer need it. So let me zoom in a bit so everyone can see it. So let's check if our app is running. So if you go back to localhost 3000, anything backend is up, always check, confirm. Then this is the front end. We already have a bunch of images, items created here. So the next thing we'll need to do now is to implement it, right? So let's check the documentation for the DALI API that Nest sent to us. So let's do that. You will need to use the API, so let's check it. Then let's find somewhere to paste our so we come here, we create a new file, we call it .env. Then we call it open AI underscore API underscore key is equal to this, right? So we pass this to it since I'm going to pretty much delete this. So yours will be different from mine and vice versa. Mine will be different from yours. So the next thing is to install API. We need to install Open API, right? So let's see, introduction, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Where do we see? So libraries, yes. So we need it for, we're solving this quest in Node. So the best way to do this is npm install OpenAI. Then this is the way to do it. This is the way to config. So it has a 2 modules that we need in the API config. It has 2 modules. So we need to do that also. So let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see. So from the OpenAI, we need the OpenAI API. We need the configuration. The configuration gives us access to tying our API key to the configuration module. Then we need to create a new API instance, OpenAI API instance, then passing the model, the prompt, and the prompt, and yeah, that's pretty much what we need to do right now. We need to add, then also we need to add the number. There's also where we need to add the number of images that we want to create. So yeah, so that's pretty much what we want to do right now. So the first thing is to install OpenAI. So let's do that. So let's go into the backend folder because that's where we need to install OpenAI. So yarn add OpenAI. Yarn add OpenAI. So let's do that. So this will install. It says npm install, but we don't need npm install right now. We need only to install just yarn because we already use yarn in our package. So only if you are using npm that you need to do npm install, but we already use yarn, so that's what we need. So the next thing is to import this, right? So we need to import this in our code base. So let's go back to our code. So since we have the AMV file ready inside our backend folder, it has to be inside the backend folder, right? It has to be inside the backend folder. So the next thing we need to do is to find where to implement it. So to find it, since it's going to be directly tied to our API, we will have to go into the API itself, then where items are being generated, which is items.js. Then the first thing we need to do is to initiate the OpenAPI instance. So let's copy this and paste it here, right? Then let's do the config. So let's call this const. So the way it's being done here, right? So we need to do this, right? So let's just copy this just to save us the time. Just to save us the time, copy and paste this. So we already have the OpenAI API key already installed in our local. So we already have it installed. Let's just confirm everything looks exactly the same. The OpenAI API key, okay. So for configuration, const configuration, new config. So let's call this OpenAI config so that it's more descriptive just in case someone else wants to work on the code base. So API config, OpenAI API config. Then the next thing we need to do is actually to initiate the instance of OpenAI as like this. So we need to do this. So if I copy this, let's go down a bit and paste it. So OpenAI, I like to use Pascal case. So OpenAI, new OpenAI API. Then let's call this OpenAI config because we named ours OpenAI config. So next thing we need to do now is to find where new items are being created. Like, when new items are being created, how, the request that is being made when new items are being created. So that's what we need to do, find where we need to do that right now. So let's scroll down and see where. So since it's when the images will be generated when you are creating new images, so it's going to be a post request. So let's find where we are creating new API requests. So yeah, so this is it, right? Router.post. So it's going to, since it's a post request, this is where we need to find it. So the next thing we need to do is to implement it in our code base, right? So the way it's being done here is we create a response. We do OpenAI creates completion. No, this is not for create completion. We need to create image, right? So image generation. Let's go back to image generation. So OpenAI.image.create, right? So that's what we need to do, right? So OpenAI.image.create. This is for Python. For Node.js, it is const response await. So it's going to be an asynchronous function. So we need to keep that in mind. And await OpenAI.create image. So the next thing we need to do is for this function here, for the user, we need to make it an asynchronous function. So then we make a request, an if statement that helps us check for when images are not present. So if not image, then dot image, right? So if item.image is not present, right, this should happen. So everything that is being executed in this code block here, in this if statement here, would only execute if we when you make a post request, the item image is not available. So let's wrap it in a try and catch block, because we need to be able to catch all our errors, just to be on the good side of our boss. So let's do error handling. It's always good to implement error handling, always good. So the next thing we need to do is, inside our try and catch block, let's do exactly what OpenAI expects us to do. So response is equal to await, since it's an asynchronous function, await open AI dot create so OpenAI dot create image is exactly what we need to do right now. So OpenAI dot create image. That's what we need to do right now. Let's create image. That's what we need to do. So OpenAI dot create image, then OpenAI dot create image, then we run this command. Yes, then we pass in this. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah. Then we pass in this. Yeah, then we're passing this. Then the next thing we need to do is, just like the way it was mentioned here, it was demonstrated here, we need to have a prompt, and Ness said the prompt should be the image title, then the size should be defaulted to 256x256. So let's keep that in mind while we are implementing this. So let's do that. So it's going to have a prompt, right? As usual. So prompt is going to be the item dot type. So then we also need the n is the number of, so n is the number of images that needs to be created. So we just need only one image, honestly, we just need one. Then we need the size, which Ness said we should specify as 256 by 256. So n, as you can see, is the number of images to generate, must be between 1 and 10. Size is the size of the images, must be 1 of 256 by 5 or 5 by 12 by 5 1 12. So that's basically what we need to do right now. Yeah. So after this, after we've implemented the try and catch block, which is basically, then we need to pass in the response to the image. So item.image is equal to item.image is equal to response. This is one of my funniest parts of making API requests. Data. Like if you've done a lot of backend work, you know that this is pretty much standard. Data. Then we need the first image, so we need index of 0.url. Right. So we've passed this image URL that has been generated from OpenAI to our code, to our item image. And that's pretty much what we need to do. So let's be certain this actually works, right? Let's be certain this actually works, and let's check our code base to see that it actually works. So let me just refresh this, make sure that everything is working. Okay, seems like something is broken. So let's go back to our backend and see what's broken. Cannot find mode with OpenAI. This is in where? Items.js. OpenAI. I thought I installed this already. Yeah, it's installed. OpenAI. So let's check. I think we have a bit of issues. OpenAI. Oh yeah. I've seen what the issue is. So this is in the app.js. So let's run yarn add open AI just to be sure. Open AI. Yarn add open AI. Okay. So let's refresh this. See that we still have that error. Oh yes, we do. Cannot find module open AI, but we just installed it. So let's go back and see. On configuration, OpenAI API, right? OpenAI API. OpenAI API, then OpenAI config. Then we pass this OpenAI here, right? We pass this OpenAI here. Then let's be certain that we're running this command in the right. I see. So we are actually running Docker container, the wrong Docker container. So we are running it inside a different branch. So this is on my end. This is my bad. So let's run it again. Let's run it again. cd dot docker compose up. You might not experience this issue actually. You might not experience it, but this is just a mistake on my end. So let's see. Okay. Seems like we're good on the back end. Yep. So it was just my issue. I was running the command in the wrong branch because that branch doesn't have the OpenAI. So let's go back to our code. Database. Okay, so everything is pretty much good, right? So everything is pretty much good, right? So yeah. So let's confirm our backend works. Okay, our backend works. So let's try and create a new item. So for new item, you click on new item. You have to be logged in. So let's call this let's create a item. Let's see, a cup. This is a cup. So publish item, and it did not work. That's weird. So let's go back to our code and see where we have it wrong. OpenAI config, let's be certain that we are doing this the right way. Sometimes it's mainly because of the env file is not available, but this looks good, right? OpenAI API key. Sometimes when this happens, it says create error. So response to the status code of 400. Status code 400. I think it's an authorization error. So it's a bad process. So we need to check if we are doing this the right way. So .env, yes, we have our API key. Our code is correct, right? We don't have issues with our code. The issue here is seeing if OpenAI, okay. So we need to check OpenAI API underscore API key. Yes, we did this correctly. OpenAI, new OpenAI API. We did this correctly. Then OpenAI config, this is correct. You know this is correct. OpenAI API key. So let's go back to this, the instance, we initialize this correctly. Initialize this correctly. Then let's go back to our post. So if item, should it be .data.data.url? So let me just check real quick. Item to respond to the URL. Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. You're pretty much correct. There's nothing wrong with this. So item the title, we have number one, we have size, we have pretty much everything correct. Let's put this here. Then item, new item. Let's take this up. Let's take this up. I'm sorry about that. We are pretty much, this is actually the correct way to do it. We just have to see where if we're making any very specific mistake, because we're having a server error right now. So maybe our env file is not being seen correctly. Would that be why? This is the correct implementation. This is the correct implementation. So we need to be certain that. So let's try and create it again. So publish item. See if we get that error again. So we can delete this item. Let's call this a cup. This is a cup. Publish it. Okay, yeah, everything works. So this is a cup, it works. I think it was a bit of a server error. I think it was from OpenAPI server. I think their server is having some issues. That's why it did not work. Our implementation was correct. So this actually works. So that's on not our end. Let's try it again. Let's see a cap. A cap. So let's call this is a fancy cap. So let's publish it again to see, confirm that everything actually works. Yes. So this is awesome, right? It actually works. So let's create a new branch and push as usual and see how far we go. So we solved this on our main, so we need to switch to a new branch. So let's see. Robocrop solution. That's the name of the quest. So I'm just going to call it solution. So now switch to a new branch. So let's run. So let's go back into the backend folder. Then run npx prettier dash right dot. Okay. So this will take a minute. Okay, so cd dot dot. So git add dot, then git commit -m, let's say add open AI API for image generation capabilities. So let's do a git push origin Robocrop solution. This is like a very short quest. I think this is one of the shortest quests we've solved on this live together. So let's copy this, go back to here, paste it and create a new so we can just copy our commit message because it's always very descriptive. So add open API, yes, API for image generation capability. So let's create a new pull request. Then we wait for Nest to give us her verdict. So let's what Nest says. Okay. So let's refresh to see Nest comments. So Nest says on it, I'll review the changes as soon as possible. So let's see how far this takes. I'm pretty sure of our solution, right? We did a really great job. in figuring out the API, and the API is like really, really easy, really easy to use. So it worked almost immediately. We barely had any issues, consuming the Open API, the Open AI API. That's like a really difficult way to pronounce it. It's like a tongue twister. So let's go back to doing this. Just see all checks are passed. So yeah, pretty much good. Next says looking good. You can merge the PR now. And let's merge our PR. When we merge it, what does next says? Looking good, you can now merge the PR. Beautiful. Can't believe you've already finished on that project. As usual, make sure you stretch your body and treat yourself to something new before we set up something new to work on. Click here for the next project. And that's pretty much, yeah, this is the solution to the Robocrop Quest. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat. Moises says you rename the constant name OpenAI to OpenAI. Yeah, I can. You can rename it whatever you want as long as you meet. You don't necessarily have to, follow exactly what they say, right? You can name it whatever you want as long as you are consuming the API correctly or you are requiring the module correctly. So however you want to name it, it's up to you, right? It would still work. If you go back, you can see this OpenAI. You can see this, and it still works, right? The constant doesn't matter. The main thing is that you are calling the API method correctly. So if I had changed this to something different, this is when it would not work. This is actually when it would fail because this is an object-oriented. This is an API directly from the OpenAI module, right? This is directly from the, so I cannot change this, but the constants can be changed however I want it to be. So, and we've come to the end of, this live stream. This is one of the shortest stream we've had in, since we started doing the Solving the Quest live streams, one of the shortest stream we've had. And yeah, this is this quest was like, really interesting to solve. It tested your backend knowledge. It tested how well you could consume an API with just documentation. So yeah, this stream was like just everything, man. So if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat, or you can drop it to send it to me on Discord if you're on our Discord. If you're not on our Discord, you can join our Discord and we can all chat about this quest. And if you have any question, please, about this quest, ask in the Robocrop channel on Discord, and it will be answered by myself or any of our wonderful community members. So thank you everybody for joining and watching this Solving a Quest live stream. We'll be see you all in the new year, and we will have so many more quests we'll be solving as time goes on. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining once again. My name is Shedrack Akintayo. I am the developer relations manager at Wilco, and I am the host of Solving a Quest live stream. So thank you so much everybody for joining once again. See you all next time.